for all those that have joined, again, my name is Jim Wyrock. I'm the Director of Business Development, and you're here for the, hopefully for the PBCS webinar, that Planning and Budgeting Cloud Service that Oracle came out with last February. It actually came out last Valentine's Day, and they've had great success with this PBCS. Last I heard, in fact, I was up in Vancouver last week, and I heard that they've got over 600 companies, organizations that are running this software. So they've got really great traction to add to what they already have on-prem. Again, my name is Jim. My background, I actually was with AT&T for a good 10 years, more as a programmer for Nortel switches, kind of retooled, made the switch, and started working with J.D. Edwards Oracle Partners for the last 7 years. And I've been with the Bean Consulting Group now for now just over a year. And it's interesting because people say now that in telecommunications I was sending data through pipes. With one of the organizations I was more working with a BI partner, and I was reporting data. And now we're actually, with this company, I see it as helping companies really deliver data for business needs and for, to be better and more competitive. And that's what I like about working with Bean Consulting Group. I see that as being a real strength of what Oracle offers, with their software, the Hyperion Suite, and how that helps organizations be more competitive with the data that they're running. So again, you're here for the PBCS webinar. I'm going to go through and just look at the agenda for today. Just a brief introduction about the Bean Consulting Group. We'll go through this real quick, and then with some of the slides that we have, we'll go through the Oracle Planning and Budgeting Cloud Service, the PBCS, and why it's become so popular, and it's been really a niche within the industry for some of the problems that exist out there. We'll touch on that. Also, we'll go through a product demo, so we'll do a brief look at the demo. And again, if any questions come up, feel free to just answer those on your console, your GoToMeeting console, and your right of your screen there, and we can get to those at the end of the presentation. And that's where we'll have the time for questions and answers. So again, the Bean Consulting Group, we've been around for about 6 years now. We're based in Denver, Colorado. We have an office in Miami as well. We're an Oracle Gold partner. We're specialized in S-Base and specialized in planning, and we also became specialized in the cloud also. So we have met the criteria that Oracle puts out there to assist companies with any of these specific needs from the Hyperion Suite. And we've got customized EPM solutions. If you look up here, we do cover more than just what's listed, but our specialty really has been planning in the cloud, S-Base, HFM, and FDM as well. We have experience, just to name a few of the sectors here, higher ed, utilities, financial services, healthcare, and telecommunications. So we talk about the obstacles that exist today. We, as a company, feel that our number one competitor really is Excel spreadsheets. We've got so many organizations out there that are running Excel, enjoy the use and the need, right, having the comfort of running Excel. And we understand that. That happens to be our biggest competitor, but there's problems that go along with it. It's, you've got users that are standalone users. In a lot of organizations, we see them start out with a template that is, made originally for planning, but that template changes over time, and a number of users get their hands in there and change that template that it was originally started. It could have been from attrition from the organization, right? Employee might have went to another department or maybe to another company. So that, bodes for a real problem with having consistency with the planning process. We look at the methodologies too. There's a lot of disjointed methodologies when you talk about a system of using Excel, right? Try to figure out what the strategic targets are. The driver-based plans a lot of times are disjointed, especially if we're using Excel. The what-if modeling and rolling forecast. Again, these are just connected models just because of the current use of Excel spreadsheets. and it's got limited what-if capability. So when you talk about business rules, there really are no standards that are currently existing. And then we look at the management focus. What we want management to have is the ability to analyze that data. But if it's taking, and what we see out there is a 6 to 7 month planning cycle, that planning process, just to collect the data and go through that, how are you staying competitive as an organization? We want to be able to have and put in your hands the ability to make real-time decisions with real-time data. Currently, what we're seeing is that it's 6 to 7 month process to collect that data, and then decisions are made after that. So we're talking over a half a year before you get good information and then start making decisions on that information. So it's just a very poor allocation of time, and it really limits the strategic value of the plan itself. We see this as a configurable and scalable platform. PBCS offers a very robust reporting and analysis. We'll get a chance to dive into that in the demo. It's very easy to use, as you'll see, and how we can show you how you can get your employees, your organization up and running with very little training. And then it's rapid time to value. Again, all you need is that internet access, and we can get that up and running for you. One of the things about Oracle and the power of Oracle, and being at Oracle Open World, which is Larry's big party out in San Francisco every year, the discussion really was around cloud. And with the planning app that they've provided as of last year, planning has been something that Oracle has been involved with for a very long time. And you have to say that with the company Hyperion. Hyperion was acquired by Oracle in 2007, and Hyperion has been around since the mid-90s. So when you look at this percentage that Oracle has been able to capture, a big part of that is the acquisition that had happened in 2007 with Hyperion. So they're really the true leaders and grabbed the market share early. And you're seeing that at 35%, which is growing more and more each day based on the power of Oracle, and then just based on the power of what that Hyperion product has had to offer with the number of clients and organizations. So again, we look at PBCS as being a world-class planning with the simplicity of the cloud, very fast adoption. Again, we talk about just needing internet service, and the implementation is a very short period. It's a matter of weeks, not months. And then we've got the best-in-class functionality, and a big part of that is with that acquisition of Hyperion, as I had discussed. They've been in the business since the mid-90s, and again with that acquisition in 2007, year over year, that software and listening to customers has become better and better with each iteration. And then it's flexible deployment. So you might have an organization or an arm of your organization that you're bringing on. Again, to implement this software, it's a matter of having internet access to get up and running. So that's really, truly the power of the cloud. We talk about that best-in-class functionality, flexible workflow, plan management capabilities. Again, we'll see a little bit more of this in the demo. Very intuitive interface with full Excel integration. And this is a really important piece here. As I had mentioned, we talk about Microsoft Excel being one of our #1 competitors. That's that Excel integration that Oracle allows too with a product or an add-on that they offer, which is called SmartView, and we'll see that as well. And SmartView is at no extra cost to the client, to our customers, but it allows that feel and function of using Excel, which you'll be able to do, but that integrates really well with PBCS. And then you've got the built-in management reporting capabilities. So you have some boardroom quality reports that you can show, and we'll get and show an example of one of those reports also. And then it supports rolling forecasts and best practices. So when we talk about best practices, as I had mentioned, since the Hyperion days in the mid-90s, each iteration of that software and getting the message and listening to the customers, each iteration and renewal of that software just became better and better over time. So let's dive into the demo. We're going to look at a company called Vision Inc., and this is a fictitious company. It's a manufacturing company based in the U.S. that makes computer software equipment, such as laptops, desktops, and tablets, and it also provides consulting and training services. Vision uses Oracle PPCS as its financial planning solution, and Vision is in its Q2 2013 planning cycle. It uses a 12-month rolling forecast that is updated quarterly. Okay, so let's jump into the software. I'm going to sign on here. It might take about a minute. So please bear with me. But this is how you go into the software. And this will be a first look at the front page. This is where we're going to launch the application and see the fictitious company, Vision Inc. We'll go through that. Here's a section for administrative tools, so you can go into this. This is mainly going to be more for your subject matter experts or your admin, those that'll make some admin changes, such as figuring out what times the backup is going to be. It does require you to set aside an hour out of a 24-hour period to set the time to do that backup. That's where your administration will be doing that. There's tools also for your admin. Again, mainly the business end users won't be jumping into this. On this next row here, we talk about more or less the training and getting up and running with PPCS. So you have your admin tutorials that show your best practices. So really good information in this as well. You can watch the demos. So there's a video library that helps users get up and running, and they can do that really at their own time, at their own speed. And then you have got more detailed documentation that's listed as well. So everything is very well documented. So having that said, let's jump into the application of Vision Inc. And here's the first look at the first screen. Here you see, you've got, well, let's look at these tabs first. Here are the forms that you can get into. Again, this is going to be a little bit more for your admin, your subject matter experts, where they'll be creating forms for, depending on what your plan is going to be. It's going to be a forecast. It's just going to be a plan. It's going to be a long-range plan. You have your forms within the forms. You have your managed task lists. And again, this is going to be a little bit more for your admin to start creating task lists. For our demo purpose, we're going to go through my task list, and that'll be for Vision. And again, for more your subject matter experts, your admin, they'll be more concerned with the dimension tab and setting the criteria for the dimensions listed here. You've got your performance settings and evaluation order. And then also you have your business rule security. Again, more for your admin, your subject matter experts. You've got certain preferences. And again, these tabs are really all going to be for administration, maybe even management that'll be getting into this, setting up plans and setting up the software. And then you have diagnostics as well. Again, more for that subject matter expert. So for our purposes, we're going to go back to My Tasks. Here you see your management planning process, planning process, excuse me. And then you've got your operating plan. Again, this is going to be more for your admin, for management. This is your operating plan. That's going to be more for your business end users, right? Those that are going to be getting their hands dirty within the system, crunching those numbers. We've got your plan kickoff, and Here, this is the look at a nice dashboard that gives an overview of where you're at with the process. You might have to look as a management what the start date is, what the end date will be, any alerts that come up along the way. And we'll, again, get into a little bit more of the detail of where business end users can make notes within the cells that might be in question. And then any actions that need to be taken. So it's good communication. I think that's the piece that I've taken away with this. It's good communication between management and the business end user. And again, we'll jump into a little bit more of that. So here's the strategic plan dashboard, and this just happens to be 4 different types of criteria that Vision uses for their company. It could be different for any organization, any other organization, but this one happens to just be important for Vision. So right off the bat, it shows you the earnings per share, based on the 3 types of plans that Vision can choose from, which is their baseline, the acquisition, or their expansion. Also shows their shareholder value, earnings comparison, and market price comparison here. Here we're going to allocate the targets. So this is nice because you can drill into the plan in more detail, but this is where we're going to allocate the targeted plan. So I'm doing a right-click right now on this cell. I'm going to do an allocate plan target. And instead of expansion, I'm just going to choose, let's go with baseline. Here we have baseline. I'm going to add that. Click the OK button. And then another OK button we're going to click to add the baseline. And you're going to see that added to our allocated targets right here. Just saw that pop up. This is for a baseline plan. Now we could have had different options. We could have chose again the expansion, acquisition, or the baseline. We're going to go with the baseline plan. And you can set global assumptions as well. Here are the different drivers that could be used, the method, and then the rate percentage here listed. We'll look at the baseline sheet drivers. Keep in mind for anything that's listed in white, you can make changes to that information, changes to that data. And I'm just doing a right click right here. So you can do an edit. You can see the options here that we have. You can do an adjustment. You can adjust the data in this way, or you can do a grid spread. It makes it easier for the end user as well. Okay, so I'm going to skip right down now to the operating plan. And this is more or less what your business end users are going to be working from. Let's go down to reviewing the actual versus plan. I like this example. This spreadsheet here shows good information in terms of what an actual versus the plan looks like. This happens to be for the month of June, and then it'll show the year to date. I'm going to slide over here, and if you see here on the right-hand side, you have notes that are made. And here it's also listed as there's data validation messages that are needed. So this could be set by management, by your admin, where it says you must enter an explanation for any negative variance greater than 10%. So to meet that criteria, if you can see anything that's greater than that 10%, notes have been added. Again, just communicating really a lot better with your management and the business end user. So since this was set and flagged, as we can see, this is greater than that 10%. We'd have to write in a note right here, and once we write in and make our notes, that red flag will go away, as well as for down here also. So again, just a good way for management to ensure that, okay, hey, we want the information, based on our criteria that happens to be greater than 10%, right in those notes. There you have it. Well, let's take a look at revenue plan. You've got your products and services. Products. So here's your revenue plan that's a task for products. Again, you can go into anything that's labeled or anything that is in white by doing a right click and changing that information as needed or as necessary. Anything that's in, as you can see here, kind of that bluish gray, it's hard-coded, so you can't make any changes there. And then here we'll look at services as well. Really the same idea. Gives you the outlook for the upcoming year. And again, any of the changes can be made for the cells that are in white, but you can't do that in the gray. Let's take a look at operating expenses. You have expense drivers. And here's the sales driver assumptions. So again, just good information that allows you to keep your plan on track. This happens to be for the divisions for Vision Incorporated. So you've got your international sales, your sales in the East, sales in the Northeast. You can go over your head count and salary plan. So good workforce information as well. Here, maybe we can show, I'd like to just show like a grid spread. You can do a grid spread on this. And when I say grid spread, you can adjust that data by value, by percentage. You can increase it by a certain amount or decrease by a certain amount. And you can hit spread to show those results. No, just for demo purposes, we won't have to go through that. Then we've got to look at the capital expenditure plan. So once again, you can look at and make any changes with the white. As you can see, this happens to be a cell that's more bluish than gray here. This shows supporting detail. You can, just doing a right click on here, and I want to see and find out what that supporting detail is. I can open this up and really see what that number represents, that 8,000. So what that really represents is that it's 4 units at a cost per unit of 2,000. So just a really nice, slick feature there. And then we look at our operating expense plan. So again, having that opportunity for management to communicate with the business end users and those that are running and doing the plan. They've got another data validation message here. Let's click in and see what it says. Okay, so your adjusted plan is considerably higher than the original plan. Please enter a comment. So anything that was flagged red would have to have a comment. And then your plan adjustments results is in considerable savings. So that looks like a good thing, and that shows up in green there where the savings has taken place. So here we have the income statement. And I think this is a good time really to look at our Excel spreadsheet, right? We talked about Excel being our #1 competitor, but it helps us out as well, because since so many people are using Excel, and with that Smart View feature that I had mentioned, you can do your work in Excel and promote that up to PVCS and back into the software. So I'll open up Excel on mine. And again, this just might take a minute or two because it's going to ask us to sign in as well. But as you can see, this is Excel. Here's the Smart View tab to add on. And to sign in, I'm going to go to the panel. Go to my shared connections and going to require me to sign back in. Okay, and then we're going to bring the information from PBCS into Excel. Here's our vision company, the task list, and I'm going to bring that income statement back up. So again, here you have the look, the feel of Excel. I mean, it is Excel. It is a Microsoft product. It just happens to be able to work in with this feature, Smart View. So any changes that are made, you can do your pivot tables here and then promote it. You can do a refresh to bring any new data in. But if you're going to submit that data back into PBCS, this is where you do it right here. So you can make any of the changes that you want down here, and here you're able to make some edits if you'd like. But again, you can submit that data right here, and it goes back up to PBCS. Okay, and let's take another look at a review plan versus target. Again, shows a good look at what the plan is, again, against your targets. And there might be that opportunity too to offer and set that criteria, put some notes here based on these numbers. What in this case is no greater than 10% criteria or no validation message that's needed. So let's move on to the next one, which is we talk about the financial reporting. And just giving one example of your actual versus your plan. This is pulling up a report. Talk about boardroom quality reporting. It's got really nice looks, nice lines, especially if you're going to be pulling up any graphs. This happens to be the spreadsheet here, but you can put your logo in place of what's here listed, but then you've got all your other information that can be included, right? So any of the title information, when the report was run and by whom. And you can create a book of reports as well. So you can go in and create a book of reports for management if there happens to be a meeting that is necessary that just requires more than one report. So that's a pretty good look at things. When management and the business end users are finished with, going through the plan, they can do a plan review, and this is where management will go back into their plan review here, and they can see your plan variances. You can look at your key performance indicators. So they can review any of these and then actually go through and approve the plan. So at each stage, as you might have seen, you've got these down here where if the business end user is finished, they'll just click complete here, and this is where management will see an overview and make sure that everything has been completed. It shows the status. Has this thing been approved? Has it been signed off? Who is the current owner? Right now, there you see me right there, and the location, what department I'm in, which happens to be sales. And then the path for the approval. This shows the path that it's taken to approve the process of the plan. So here we go from sales to total department. And then you can show, either a pie chart or a bar chart of the approval status here listed. And there you have it. That's a good look, quick overview of the benefits and features of Planning and Budgeting Cloud Service. Let's go back to of our presentation here. Again, one of the nice things about this is that it's been proven on-premise, right? So we've got Oracle has over 3,800 companies worldwide that have been running this. Now they're looking at 600 plus that are running the PVCS solution, and it's great, right? You've got the proven on-premise and all the information, all the programming that has gone into on-premise. One of the reasons Oracle has delayed the coming of PVCS is that they really wanted it to be seamless for their on-premise users to go to the cloud. So now you're saying that it's optimized for the cloud, and what that means is it's going to be less time in the forecasting process, less time in gathering the data, and more time analyzing data. So that's real important. Here's a look at some of the logos that have chosen planning throughout the years. You might recognize a few of those logos. Just to speak of, we've worked with 3 to 4 companies right now with their PVCS. One happens to be a $100 million company, so one of the smaller companies that can afford the PVCS solution. And we're also working right now with a company that's a 10 billion plus company that does hosting, and they're based out of New York. So again, there's just a wide range of organizations that are looking at this solution. This is going to be time for questions and answers. Hopefully we'll be able to answer any of the questions that you currently have today. If there's some questions that might come up after this presentation, after our session here today, feel free to reach out to me and I can get to the appropriate person if I can't answer it myself. But again, let's take a look at your console for your GoToMeeting and go to that question section. If you have any questions right now, feel free to ask them. And thanks so much again for joining us today. Okay, here's the question that I have here that came through. How is the data integration between a company environment and PVCS? Vlad, if you're on, if you want to take that one, field that one, that'd be great.
Yeah, actually, there's a couple ways to get the data in from other areas of the company's environment. It primarily, the data manager in the system is what it's called, but basically what that is FDMEE, which is based on a well-developed, well-established tool, FDM, that is specifically designed to be able to pull data from external sources, do some mapping, some translation if need be, and then to, get the data in that way. That's the primary way of doing it. Another way you can do it is through Excel. You can manually submit data like Jim said before, but as far as getting a more automated process that you can schedule, for example, something like that, you would be using the FDMEE, which is part of the workspace environment.
Great. Okay. Thanks, Vlad. Appreciate your help on that. And also, I've got another question that came up. It says, can you create multiple plans and can you create multiple companies? And that's an absolute yes. Vlad, if you want to dig in a little deeper, that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, from my understanding, you can only have one application on the cloud, per purchase, but you can have multiple plan types within each. So, for example, you could have a plan type that focuses on your headcount, workforce planning, or you can have one that focuses on expense or CapEx, all within the same planning application, but you can have multiple plan types. And as far as different companies, again, like I said, you only have one app available to you, but as far as being able to plan for multiple companies, you can do that within the same application, and that really is driven by the way you set up your dimensions, specifically in this case, your entity dimension. So you could, for example, if you set it up correctly, you could look at your plan not only as a total company, but across groupings of companies, and it kind of gives you a semi-autonomous feel to your planning environment that way. Compared to the on-premises, it's a little different. On-premise, you own everything and can pretty much create as many applications as you want. I'm sure that you could buy another application through the planning, but for most clients, that having the different plan types and being able to manage your entity structure through the dimension feature of the tool has been more than sufficient. And that comes with the design, okay. and that comes with the design and implementation. I mean, that's the part where Oracle partners like ourselves would come in and help you, fine-tune your requirements and then come up with a design that meets those requirements.
Okay, thanks again, Lad. I've got another question here. It says, how is data transferred, loaded from a plan type BSO cube to an ASO reporting cube? It says, I am used to on-premise, where I have a lot of flexibility.
That is correct, yeah. There's ways to get data out, to export the data, but as far as being able to leverage an existing system, chances are if you were to go with the cloud, we would have to come up with a new way to get data out and moving it to other areas of your system. But it is, getting data out, exporting data is a feature built into the cloud as well. Again, the entire environment is in Oracle, which is an advantage, especially for smaller companies that can't afford all the infrastructure and all the hardware. But at the same time, you have to come up with a solution to get data in and to get data out. But they do have tools built into the workspace that allow you to do that.
Okay, and then on top of that, it says, how do you transfer the files across the internet? Example, update metadata files created locally to the PBCS environment.
It can look on your environment, and I mean it's on your environment. It's running on your laptop, say for example. You can stage a file and point it to where that file staged to pick it up and load it. It also allows you to, so it does have that. You don't have to, for example, go out to Oracle's file structure or anything like that. It can leverage your own environment.
Okay.
And again, there's also a way to schedule some of this stuff as well. It still requires interaction with an admin, but again, you do have ways there's multiple ways to get data in, get data out, and also to through an automated process through, for example, clearing out an account hierarchy, reloading it, and then reloading the data associated with it. We did a cloud migration back this past year, and part of that migration involved all those steps. So I know for a fact or from experience that you can come up with a way to get data, metadata, all that updated from your local file system.
Okay, great. And I've got another question here. It says, is the interface available for mobile? And yes, it is available for mobile. I did look into that actually a couple of days ago. A question of that came up, so it is available for mobile also.
Yeah.
Another question here is, does PBCS have predictive planning capabilities?
Yeah, it does have predictive planning as it's basically another Excel add-in, and it allows you to do Monte Carlo style simulations, both based on historical data and on forward-looking data that you've come up with, but it allows you to kind of get a more statistically driven view of various scenarios that you might encounter, not just a best case, worst case, most likely case. So you can really get a more statistically thorough and complex analysis done through the predictive planning. And again, it's
just to add on to that,
classic classic Monte Carlo style simulation for your planning.
Yeah, thanks, Vlad. And just an add on to that is that Oracle has acquired Crystal Ball, so great Crystal Ball for those users out there, uses that Monte Carlo simulation that Vlad has referred to, so that is the technology behind that.
Yes, they're leveraging Crystal Ball, exactly.
Okay, let me take a look to see if there's some more questions here. Okay, here's one that says, can I migrate my on-prem seamlessly to the cloud?
Can you repeat that?
Can I migrate my on-prem data seamlessly to the cloud?
Seamlessly. Honestly, that would depend on the environment and what's currently there. If everything's being driven through like an external scheduler, that kind of thing, that could get a little tricky. Not saying you can't do it. You know, that's kind of one of those things you have to look at it on a case by case. But for the most part, you know, we haven't had a problem with it in the past. So short answer, yes.
Okay, great. And then I've got another one here. It says, what involvement does IT play during an implementation?
Hopefully as little as possible. That's one of the nice things of the cloud is you don't have to worry about the install, the infrastructure, making space on your servers, any of that. I think one of the more common things where you would see IT involved is, for example, installing SmartView. That still has to be done on the local machines. Same thing with predictive planning. Those are something that are add-ins that are installed as part of, that become part of Excel. So say, for example, if your C drives on your laptops and desktops have been locked down, then, you know, local internal IT department would have to get involved to make, you know, those installs available or push them out to the various users. But for the most part, there's very little involvement from IT.
Okay, and it looks like kind of more of an add-on. Perhaps that other question is, can you migrate existing calculation manager rules forms on premise to PBCS by some type of LCM and file upload?
Yes, that was one of the things, like I said, when we did a migration from an existing on-premises application planning app, that was part of the process, was getting all those basically XML files that allow you to take those business rules and move them over.
Okay, thanks again, Lad. Are there any other questions out there? It looks like we've covered the ones that came across from our audience. Really good questions. I appreciate you know, the interest in the webinar today and PBCS. If there are no other questions, I just, again, Lad, want to thank you for your time. I know you've got a real busy schedule, so thanks for joining us this morning. And again, for those that have any questions that might come up after this presentation, after this hour, feel free to reach out to me, and I can either answer them myself or I can get the right person that would be able to answer that for you. Again, thanks so much for your time today. Really appreciate that. Again, best wishes for a Happy New Year for the 2015. Once again, Oracle has had great traction with this PBCS product, so I really recommend that you know, if you'd like, you can get with me and we can show you a little bit more of a detailed a demo on what this might look with your data, with your organization. We can get that arranged. Again, the traction has been very good with over 600 organizations that have already went with this. Not to mention they've got a great program too, which is 6 months free. So you can try this 6 months free with 36-month contract. So that's the latest and greatest promotion that Oracle has with this. So again, thank you so much for joining us today. And again, feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or want to give out a call, have any conversation to meet at a later date. So have a great afternoon, and thank you again for joining us. Bye-bye.